Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for your time here. Thank you for attending this session. I'm Thomas, I'm just moderating, and the person we need to speak to here is on screen is Gabriel. He's physically not here, but he's been very, very active, in what he's been doing, and he's been supporting us locally as well. So let me give you an introduction of him. Gabriel is a Malaysian and former Singapore PR. He's originally from the Archdiocese of Catholic Diocese of Malacca and Johor in Malaysia. He moved to Singapore in 1981. He was 15 under scholarship. And then he remained here for the next 15 years before he left for Kenya in 95. So when Jesus started his ministry, same, right? 30 years old. So in 88, after sitting for his final uni exams, he traveled to Europe, then on to Kenya for what seemed to be a short adventure, come holiday. That holiday, to quote him, he says, gave him a glimpse into a whole new world. And this experience really gave him serious questions to think about his direction in life. Where is he supposed to go? So, after that adventure, he returned to Singapore. In 89, he embarked on a career as a tax consultant for 5 years. Okay? However, he had this persistent nagging feeling that something was missing. That his life was destined for something different. And it kept nagging at him till it was too hard for him to ignore. Kenya, from what he went to, beckoned to him. So in early 95, Gabriel sold his car to the Archdiocese of Singapore, gave all his furniture to the Good Shepherd Sisters, and he returned to Kenya to seek for some answers. So after volunteering with the medical missionary group in Turkana, Kenya, and later with the local Catholic Bishop of Garissa in northern Kenya, he eventually established the Tana River Life Foundation, TRLF. Tana River is a place, the Life Foundation, a non-governmental organization aimed at building individual lives, and thereby the community as well. So but not only that, but through the integral development of the people there. So that's what he's been doing ever since, right? So the Tana River Life Foundation is now a major education stakeholder and development agents in the Tana Delta area. And that area is one of the most rural and marginalized regions in Kenya. So Gabriel here now completing his 26th year as a lay missionary and community development worker in the Tana Delta. So I present to you Gabriel, who's gonna give us a quick intro. Gabriel?
Hello, morning everyone, or afternoon.
What time is it there now?
Maybe now. Now it's 8:03 in the morning.
Oh, good
I
time.
suppose it's noon over there in Singapore, right?
1 o'clock.
So nice to meet everybody. So I'm not sure who are there, but there's Thomas Teo and Gabriel. We may have met, some of you maybe not. And I asked to share today on my personal journey. So I was thinking, I'm not sure why some of you signed up. I suppose it's to, maybe you are also discerning questions for yourself. And maybe you need to know for yourself how to sustain whatever decisions you make. I don't have the answer, but I can share with you my journey. Maybe from there it can give you a way to find your answer. Like I told Thomas, I'm actually better at answering questions. I'm quite bad at talking about myself without prompting.
Okay.
I'll be happy if he, as moderator, will also prompt me along, and I'll be very happy to answer any of your questions as well.
Let me get you started then. So you were talking about your, that a whole new world, that first impression when you went to Kenya. Explain that first impression. You were on an adventure holiday. Then somehow you ended up in Europe to Africa. Then now your eyes open. What does that? What do you mean by that? A bit more about that.
From a young age, I was very, very competitive, very ambitious, and school was easy for me. It was just from one stage to another, moving on, right? The university, everything was easy. And then, when we were in uni in Singapore, we did accountancy, so, you do your job interviews before final exams. So I secured everything, and, you feel this sense of every life is so good and so easy. And you got it all made, you know your plan for the next 10 years, 20 years, although you don't know anything, but you thought you know everything. And you know your mission is to be a accountant and the family years. So I never saw beyond that until I went to Kenya. And the place I ended up in is Turkana. Turkana is very remote, and 26 years ago it was super remote. It's in the border with Ethiopia and Sudan. It's where Kenya meets Sudan and Ethiopia. And it's a semi-arid land, all pastoral nomadic people. At that time, people were still wearing skin and all that. So you can imagine somebody who, I was in Malaysia 15 years, then I was in Singapore 15 years. I really liked it in Singapore. And you have all your life plans there set out. And then you get to Turkana. And then you realize that there are some people who walk for miles to get a cup of water. Then you realize that the world is actually a bit bigger than what I knew. So that was jarring. That was it was a good experience. It was also shocking because I realized that what I knew until today, and I thought with all that easy success, I knew everything, but I realized that I knew very, very little about the world and God's creation and His people. So that was my first impression in Kenya. And it was like breathing every day breathing something new, breath of fresh air. Totally different from my previous experiences from the last 20. I was 22 when I first went. Last 22 years. Now suddenly in the desert in Kenya, and you see a totally different world. So that was my experience in 1988.
But then
that was the first experience outside my window.
Correct, but then that left an impression. That's why you came back to Singapore after that, you said, right? Then you worked for 5 years and there's something gnawing at you. Kind of explain that kind of thinking, feeling, emotion that kind of led you to, when you just work, you just keep going, you kind of like get caught in the whole race of an accountant. You get promoted every year, you get good increment, blah, blah, blah. But kind of explain that little hunger that you kind of felt.
So I left. I came back. I was there 9 months in Kenya until the job that I had interviewed for, they called my parents and they said if he doesn't report next month, he should not report. So I had no choice. I came back. And actually, now I was all fired up. I wanted to go back immediately, but my dad said no. He said, no, study. You went to university, you studied accountancy. You should give yourself a chance. Work in that field of your studies, and then you can make a choice later on when you have known more. So, having no choice, because under scholarship we were bonded, so I stayed on and I worked here. And again, at least I find that God uses this easy success to plant a lot of questions in my heart. So again, like in the studies, the career was easy flow. I really enjoyed my 5 years working in Singapore. I was a yuppie. If there was ever a yuppie, I was a yuppie. And I enjoyed it, and promotion was there, and I moved on to the second job, became a assistant regional tax manager and all that. So everything was good. But then again, in all of that, God plants a seed, because I I realized that I was supposed to be very happy and very satisfied with everything that he had given, his career success. And I also realized that I was not satisfied. I was happy, but it was not enough. Every time you come back, you got a promotion, and it's not enough. It's like something is missing. And so that went on for 5 years. After the 5 years, I said, this something is not found in my career success. I think this something is somewhere. I have to look for it. I think maybe it's a prompting to go and look for an answer to know what satisfies really. So then in 1995, I decided to go back to Kenya where I first started. I thought maybe the right place to look for the answers was right there where I first started. So I resigned. I think you can imagine when I left, all my friends and family were saying, wow, so good, very noble. You're going to sacrifice so much, go back and help the poor and all this. And so I went, really believing all of that, thinking that I was going there as a hero and some kind of young savior, solve the problems of everybody else except mine. So you go back very enthusiastic, full of ideas and good intentions. And here is where I think I would like to share with people, because I think a lot of people, when they start off in that same way, very enthusiastic, and we are so fired up, and we think everything is going to work out fine because we have really, really good intentions. So that was what happened. I went back, and it was that. But God's ways are very, very different. All that euphoria and all that praises from friends and family, I woke up knowing that it was empty. I realized that I was not helping anybody. Because how do you help when you go to a place, you don't know the culture, you don't know the struggles in their lives? You come from a very different world, and what answers do you have? You don't know enough about life. And you realize that instead of helping, you actually receive the hospitality, the kindness, the understanding of people who you came to help. People you thought that were needing your help. They were actually accepting you in all your inadequacies, in all your ignorance, and allowing you to journey and grow. So that was very, very humbling for me. And there was no way I could explain that to my friends and family at home. Because everybody said you are the hero, you are the star. And you go back there and you realize, no. What God shows you is different. You are here because if you really want to do something, you have to be empty first. That was the difficult part. And for me, that was like the desert. I think that was the best part of it. Because if not for that, I don't think I would be here talking to you today. Because it's that emptying that allowed me now to stop my plans, stop my thinking, stop my ideas, and allow God to unfold and show what is His plan at our soul. I think I had the right intentions, but I had the wrong plan. And that period in the desert, so to speak, was actually very life-giving. It made me stop and made me re-look at everything and understand everything again. So that was how it was when I went back. It was, I think, like a year and a half of that kind of stuff. And,
so you're saying that when you first went back full of eager, how long was that eager stage before you hit that, what you call the desert stage? Because you very enthusiastic.
All in the space of 2 years, all within the space of 2 years. I would think like in about 2 years before I had to now restart from zero. So it was not very long. it didn't take very long to realize that, you know. I think the thing that helped me a lot was I was a bit honest with myself. And I was honest from the start when I realized that I was not actually helping anybody. No matter what friends and family were saying, I was pretty honest in accepting that, no, I was not. I was the one being helped. You know, so that was at least that was I would say the saving grace, to realize that early. And you know, from that point onwards, it has actually become much easier. Once I sat down and I realized that, you know, it's not my plan. It's easier to try to discern what is God's plan and then to leave it out, daily, things became so much easier. You don't have to worry about what if this, what if that, because God provides, and all we have to worry about is our daily, are we doing it that in a way that is right in front of God, right in front of man. To enable it, the question doesn't arise anymore, not like in the early years.
Can you share some specific examples? What you mean by, how you live daily? How do you, because suddenly you are there. After 2 years, you kind of do it, then get lost, and then, let's let God. Give us some examples of, what are the little things that you experienced that cemented that situation that, okay, God's in charge, God's in charge. Like what you're saying,
Yeah. You see, for example, when I went back there, I had my savings start me off. I mean, you need finance to start something like that. So I went back, I had savings. And it went on until it ran out. It ran out, and I said, look, now I've tried, I should just come back because it's not that I didn't try. I tried, and I cannot go on. And at that point, a few months earlier, I applied for my CPF release. And at that point, it was released. So for me, God speaks in our daily lives, because for West Malaysians, you don't get your CPF release until you are 60. And mine was released. And so I had no more excuse. And my excuse was I had no funds, I had to come back. And then here it is, a letter coming and from CPF board says that, okay, tell us which account, we'll deposit the funds. So I had means to continue again. So for me, that is a sign. When that ran out, the CPF funds ran out, I said, now it's time for really my time to come back. Because I tried, and now it's time to come. I did my part. And I came back, and then I had a call from nowhere. It was my former classmates. And they said, we have a reunion. We heard about what you're doing. We want to support your work. So, you find excuses, and God provides you reason on you. I think through the years, there have been some challenges, like we were building a school and a community center, and the first contractor I got was not very good. I found that it was not going to be honest, and I didn't want to waste donor funds, so we terminated that. He brought us to court. So that was, of course, very challenging, because he said it was unlawful termination of contract. But in the midst of all that stress, then something happened that you realize that, okay, nothing happened by chance. God knows, and everything happens for a good reason. Because what happened with that was the local community that I was working with now started to take ownership of the project. That was a turning point. So something difficult happens, and it happens not because it was supposed to be the end. It happens so that we can go up one more level. So from that point onwards, it was not my project anymore. It was a community project. People took ownership. They want to protect the project. So you go up one level higher. So over the years, there have been many incidences like this where things are tough, and instead of falling down, you actually stand up and keep on walking because that thing was tough.
Okay, so that's a kind of like your oil for the lamp, right? When the community stepped in, kind of added oil to the lamp, and then do you have something else that comes to mind that constantly reaffirms you in small ways or bigger ways that the steps, the journey that you take is fairly much, I mean, as you profess, right, it's very God guided.
Yes. Actually, this attitude that I've learned to live with, of allowing God to enable everything, allowing God to have His time, His plan, and enable everything, I think has been very good because it allows me to see beyond what is happening in front of our eyes. Like human beings, we react to what we see, we react to what is happening, and you can get very disappointed sometimes. You can get very disheartened. You can find reason to give up. But this attitude of allowing God to enable actually strengthens me, enables me to see beyond what is happening. So even in the midst of very difficult situations, I don't give up. I don't feel like there is no way to continue. You always realize that there is always this strength to continue and to learn from the mistake. And if it's something that is from God, it cannot end. It can only move on. So for me, I think my humble sharing would be that if we want to start on something, uh, we need to let God enable it in order for it to be sustainable. If we don't let go, we don't allow God to enable it, I think we get disappointed and give up early. So mine is that.
Okay. Any little wisdom to share about how the basic stuff, your own personal spirituality? What are the little things that you do to, there's always, everyone goes through cycles, dryness, prayer, etc. Sometimes you feel close, sometimes. What are the daily things that you do to just keep that alive for yourself?
Oh, I think the scriptures, knowing the word of God is very, very necessary in this kind of journey. This kind of journey, you need to have that inner strength. It's not only about your capability as a community worker or professional, or your knowledge, your intelligence. I think those are not enough. You need to envelop everything with knowledge about the Word of God. So I try to make it a point that that is the first thing in the morning before anything else. And I realized that if that is practiced, things fall into place at the end of the day. So no matter how busy, no matter how much work, I think that necessary time to the daily readings, the daily reflection, enables everything for the rest. So that is my experience, and I think it can be true for many of us here.
Okay.
No matter how busy.
Yeah. Yeah, no matter, you're saying, sorry, I cut you off. No matter how busy, you go on.
No matter how busy, no matter how many things we have to do and we think we don't have time, I think we better have that time, because when we have that time to assume the word of God, a lot of things fall into place much better than we have planned.
Okay, at this juncture, would it be a good time to share the video before we open to the floor? Or do you have anything more to share?
I think we can share the video now. Then I'll be happy to take any questions from anyone in the audience.
Okay. Give us a moment, everyone in the room. Okay, this little segment is for those present here to ask questions. What would you like to kind of like peel the onion, and Gabriel is here to share. Anyone?
Maybe I start. Hi, Gabriel, this Linus. Yeah, thanks for sharing your very personal journey, the challenges and the pain that you went through, and what got you to continue moving along. I was just wondering whether you can share a bit about your successes as well. I think you have done a lot there. Maybe you want to share a bit with the audience here about what actually went right and the little successes that continue to drive you forward.
Okay. You know where we are, this place in Tanah River is also a remote area. And it's very marginalized in the sense that opportunities for young people are very limited. We don't have problem of hunger, but what we have is lack of opportunity. And then what happens is, as development comes in, the youth here, they just get more marginalized because they're not so highly educated. So youth from other counties, other parts of the country, they can be employed if they're opening, but not our youth. Sometimes they do a recruitment advertisement for, they want to employ people in the court, in the local court. And we don't have any qualified youth. Sometimes they advertise for teachers, not enough local youth. So they are very, very marginalized in that sense. And what I found is, over the years, I see in my work, for example, we assist 17 secondary schools and 72 primary schools. We build classrooms, science labs. We sponsor like 600 over students and bursaries and all that. And I find that I am actually doing less and less of the implementation. I don't have to be doing all the work on the ground, because I find that the local youth who we have sponsored are now volunteering with us or employed by us. And they're doing a pretty good job in running the show. I find that it has allowed me to, my role has managed to evolve over the years from doing this and that to just engaging, speaking. The thing I like most is to guide and to mentor young people. And I find that I've been able to do that more and more over the years. I can spend the whole day talking to young people. And the thing of construction, the thing of paying fees, the banking, and everything else is being done by our local, who were once upon a time they were sponsored by us, and now they're doing it. And you know, that requires not only ability, that requires integrity. And I'm seeing that. So I would say, if you say success, I think it's very nice to see young people being able to do things and being able to make a choice to do it in the right way. That is very, very life-giving. People who, you know, under normal circumstances, you would say they are not able to, and now are proving common knowledge wrong, in the sense that they can do things right, and they can make right choices to build their communities. So I would say that that is one of the biggest successes. To see people who actually, according to the world, don't have much of a chance, making it, and being honest about it, being compassionate about it. So that is very nice.
Thank you.
Anyone else have something to ask?
Hi, Gabriel.
Hi.
So I would like to ask, when you have the inspiration to go into missionary work, why do you choose to do it as a lay missionary instead of like going into any religious group? Yeah.
Actually, I did choose. I thought I was supposed to be a priest at one stage. You know, when you go, you know, life decisions are not easy because you decide to resign from your work. You are 23. Now, I was not 23, I was 30. And then now you say you want to do mission work. So normally the traditional way or the common way would be to go as a religious, isn't it? As a religious. So I thought, okay, that would be the path. So I actually did my studies in philosophy. But I also realized, I'm also very honest with myself, I also realized that I was not called to be a priest. I was called to be just an ordinary lay person, that I could live with the common person, sharing their common lives, sharing that actual day-to-day journey with them. I realized that that was my calling. So it was not a choice not to join the religion. It was, I realized that I was not called to it. And so that is why I became a lay person. And I think if we do what we are supposed to do, we thrive. So I don't know if I've answered your question.
Yeah.
Yes, you did. We have another question.
Hi, good afternoon. Nice to hear you speak again, and I think this is the second time I've heard you. The first one was live, I think in Singapore. Yeah, about 3 years back.
Yeah, 2019, yes.
Yeah, so very nice. Just a question about the NGO status, and how did that all came about, and is that important in your work to be sustainable? Because whatever you do may not become stable in the region. Yeah, I'm not sure about the security and stability in the region. So that's the first part, and then the second one is: do you have visitors to come and from overseas that come from time to time to see what you're doing and to learn from you? Yeah, these are the two questions. Thank you.
Okay. For the first part of the question, the NGO became, it was never in my plan. I remember in the early years when friends said, hey, Gabriel, you should register an NGO. I said, no, you're crazy. It's so much work. I mean, I'm not called to that. That is for other people, not for me. But so I was, initially was what? It was friends helping out. But then, later on, when the Bishop of Joe Malacca wanted to help out, I realized that, it's not fair. If people want to help you, you must give them that ability to feel that it's accountable, it's transparent. And so that is why I thought, okay, do it in the right way. Set up something that will be audited, something that can be accounted for, something that is transparent, and something that's nothing to do with Gabriel Teo, something that is separate from me. So that's why we set up the NGO. And I registered it here in Kenya. So it's registered here in Kenya. And it's considered an IPC, Interior of Public Character. So we got tax exempt status for the first 2 years. Now we are waiting for the renewal. We got for 5 years. And we applied for renewal. The renewal is taking a long time, but it's in process. As for security, to be honest, we, kind of little bit of where I am. We border Lamu County and we border Garissa County. These are counties that border Somalia. If you have kept up with the news in the Horn of Africa, there are some problems of security in Somalia. We've not been having a functioning government for many, many years, like 20 over years. So because we are near to that border, we are considered a zone that is a security area. So it's not somewhere that, like if you are in Mombasa, Mombasa is not so high security. Tana River is different. And we work closely with the local administration, the county commissioner, that becomes commissioner, so that they know what we are doing. They also help us with our security. That means the local police are very cooperative, and they look after us. In terms of having visitors, yes, we have had actually a string of visitors over the years until the last one was in 2019. Then everybody knows what happened after that. So we had no visitors last year and none this year. Next year, I was not encouraging any visitors next year, not so much because of COVID, but because next year is election year in Vietnam. And elections is, security moves with elections also. So election year can be unpredictable, can be volatile. So normally during election year, we discourage anyone visiting because the security is also much tighter and all that. But we hope from 2023, life can be back to normal and we can be receiving visitors like we used to do in advance.
Okay. Any final questions before we answer? Yep.
Okay, good afternoon, Gabriel. I just would like to find out, maybe you can talk more about that. So, what and how it makes you actually wanted to go there to serve God at the first time, and after which you came back and you worked, and how you felt the first time, and after which you came back to Singapore, you came back to work for 5 years, and you make the major life decision to put down everything and just go back there and serve again. And during that time, how you felt, and after which you go there. And the last one would be actually you wanted to come back, but you have the CPF money and you did not come back, right, if I'm not wrong. So how do you feel during these 3 instances, the times? And what makes you make that decision to go there? I just want to hear from you and to compare how is it like. Thank you.
I think I know that I have a strange relationship with God in a sense that it is something that is very alive and day to day. It's an ordinary relationship. It's not something in the clouds. And so I always question and I always try to fight back. I always try to resist. I find that over there, whenever something is presented, I always say, no, I cannot. It's not me. I'm not able to. And so even like the first time going back, I was always looking for an excuse to stop. I went because I was looking for the answer, but I was afraid. I mean, things were not the way I expected, and I always wanted an answer. But I always wanted God to be the reason that says, yeah, you did your part, so thank you very much. You're not guilty, you may go back. I wanted that, and I never got that, and so that's the relationship always. And it's a very good relationship in a sense that it's very honest, and it's very normal, it's very daily, asking the question, why? Why should I do that? I mean, I don't know how to do it. I can't do that. But I also realized that there was never a point when I refused to. I was only asking why, but there was never a point when I said, no, I don't want to answer. If I see something God puts in front of me, I answer. I answer. I have never been able to turn away and refuse to answer. I've always wanted to find a reason not to answer, but I've never been able to make myself willfully blind and not see something in front of me. I don't know if you understand what I mean. So, and that has actually fashioned the whole journey. And even until today, there are many things that happen. Sometimes you say, no, why? I don't want that. But I will never say, no, I don't agree with you. Do it my way. No, I will always agree. Although I will always question and try to fight back. And that helps a lot because I find that gives you strength. You do something because it's coming from deep inside of you. You're not doing something because it's the right thing, you think everybody's expecting that, or this is what is the norm. No. You do something because you actually believe, you actually convince, something from your heart. So there is no need to answer any unnecessary questions anymore. is so easy in that sense because all the other parts is taken care of because you're doing something out of pure conviction, pure faith, and things become easier. You know, when we do something because we think we are fulfilling an expectation, it's very hard to sustain. Very, very hard. So anyway, that would be my answer to your question.
Okay, on that note, thank you, Gabriel. Anyone else has any last words? If not, then we thank you for your time. Thank you for your some more? Yeah.
Hello, Gabriel. Can you talk more about, you said you feel the lacking when you make the decision to go back when you're 30 years old, there's a lacking in the heart. How do you feel that time and what is the lacking that triggered you to go back and left your accounting job?
Okay, because of time, I just put in one sentence. That lacking was knowing that all that success, all that thing that was happening in my life that was good was still not enough. Because I was supposed to be overjoyed, I was supposed to be very satisfied, and I found that it could not satisfy. There was an unrest. You know it if you had an unrest. You know it. Nobody has to tell you. You know. If this was good enough, I'll be calm, I'll be settled, I'll be fulfilled. But you are not fulfilled. You have a yearning still in your heart. Why is that? And also, Ryan, if anybody wants my email address, you are free to share the email address. I'm very happy to continue this conversation later on email.
All right. Thank you, Gabriel. You answered the question, and I'm sure everyone else here has a good understanding of your motivation struggles and that yearning in the heart that has led you and continue to inspire and just energize you with God dragging you along sometimes and sometimes quite happily walking together. Thank you very much, Gabriel.
God bless.